Oh, sorry.
All right, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. We have a full house tonight, so welcome to the Great Hall. Tonight is Monday, April 3rd, and this is the regular City Council meeting that we are opening at about 7:40. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll.
Councilor King.
Present.
Councilor Crowe.
Present.
Councilor DeBona.
Present.
Councilor Finn.
Present.
Councilor Harris.
Present.
Councilor Forrest. Councilor Leang.
Present.
Councilor Calmucci.
Present.
President Hughes.
Here.
You are 9 members of quorum.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. If you'll all stand, please. And I just wanted to call attention, all of the councilors, everyone up in the well this evening is wearing these ribbons for Autism Awareness Month for the month of April. So if we could remember all those families and adults and kids affected by autism this evening, and just our thoughts, our prayers are with them this evening. And if we could just take a moment of silence for those folks. And we will call one of our Girl Scouts here this evening, Madeline Yang. Madeline, are you here? Come on up, Madeline. All right, Madeline, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. If you'll all turn and face the flag. And Madeline, take it away. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, if you will read the open meeting law.
Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person reading audio or video recording of the public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. And here this evening to honor the Girl Scouts organization, which finally asked me to leave after 2 weeks, is Councilor Kane. Councilor Kane, if you'll make your way to the microphone, thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. You know, the Girl Scouts are playing here in this room tonight. And I think in my 1 year of being councilor so far, I haven't seen one group here so many times. I think it's your third time here. So you've shown us how dedicated you are to the city, to your community, and you've shown us through your education and the studies that you've done. You've shown us your community service. And tonight we're honoring the 100th anniversary of the Girl Scouts organization. But we'd like to honor and recognize in its 100th year of Girl Scouting in Quincy. Over the past 100 years, the Girl Scouts of Quincy have fostered girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world in Quincy a better place. May the Girl Scouts of Quincy continue founder Juliet Gordon-Lowe's dream of together exploring new possibilities and wonders of the world around them while leading a helping hand to those in need. We wish you another 100 years of adventure, friendship, and girls changing the world. Thank you very much. I'd just like to, are we going to stop to do a little picture
Yes,
in honor of the
we will.
girls? Okay, great. Thank you very much. There you go. This is on behalf of the City Council. And this is a proclamation on behalf of the mayor. Okay. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you.
All right, so we'll take a brief recess. All the Girl Scouts, if you want to come on up, and we'll just get inside the well and we'll take a quick picture.
Hey, I didn't invite them. if I just start
Jada.
plugging stuff?
Jada.
Knock yourself out.
Is that all right?
Jada.
We'd be much different.
Finally, a group shorter than me. Yeah, I love it.
Jada, Mom wants you to take your coat off.
Hard to tell.
Dory, you should go back.
Yes. Everybody in?
I'm so sorry.
We're frozen to the Quincy sun now. You want to be?
Vile.
Are parents satisfied?
Smile for the Quincy Sun girls.
All right.
All right.
An ashtray and 30 seconds.
Did they go for 3 months already? No. He was actually mad that I went to
A bunch of my son's friends are before.
trying to get but it really helped her.
Six of my stepchildren. All deploy also. One was in a home base.
Isn't it beautiful?
And
They got married.
luckily, the leader in the home base turned to the swell. Right now.
If you ever get a chance,
There is a bunch of helmets.
take one line and come
15 minutes later, I drove over and
take 84
and he blew from the floor and hit the ceiling, which is all steel. And he came to me, he had a severe concussion. We've done a platoon there, but the squad, in their line, and he caught it. Put your helmet on. Ah, it's hot, put your helmet on. And we had some serious issues.
My best friend went there.
I did that. Oh, it would have crushed it. Whatever's out there would have crushed the sky.
His older brother
was the only one that really spoke openly about it. One night at the Irish Club, I forget where we were. We were somewhere. Okay, they know how that's a mean My honest gut feeling is, my son brought this up the other night. They were all debating. They're very into this issue. My she was there 8 years ago. We've been there for 16. We haven't had our emotional they were back, and there's the ones that turned around and went up. I think it comes down to Russian influence, Chinese influence. It's global behind. Not run by any average American who's sad.
All right, thank you. We will call the meeting back to order. And this evening, we have a presentation from our mayor. Mr. Mayor, it's nice to have you with us this evening.
Thank you, Madam President, and members of the City Council. It's a privilege to be here before you tonight to present 2017 update on our rolling capital plan. As you all know, we last year presented before the Council. Some of those items were acted on, some were not. We're bringing in a fresh update on that, inclusive of just about every category to finish off in infrastructure. So, first start with talking a little bit about our public assets. We have, as a city of 93,000 people, we've got 53 public buildings, 52 parks, 190 miles of road, 230 miles of sidewalks, miles of sewer lines, 11.5 miles of seawalls, 52 tide gates, 15 pump stations. I think you understand we have a lot that we oversee as a city, and I say that we because it's part of our job. We're custodians of these public assets. So with that, we've got some challenges in a number of areas that we'd like to talk to you about tonight. We're kind of breaking this down in two ways for tonight's presentation purposes. I'm going to do the first, the park improvement plan, and then I'll do the general capital plan regarding buildings and other infrastructure. And the hotel tax, which was enacted by this body a number of years ago. I think Councilor Finley has been on the body at the time. I'm not sure if anybody else was at the time. Councilor Monty was actually the author of it. That is a room tax that visitors, when they come to our city, pay and that goes into a fund, especially for 85% park improvements, 15% towards tourism. Many years ago, this council supported a major bond issue which was spent on park improvements, and that was paid for with the revenue of the room tax. That bond is getting close to being paid off. We have great capacity now in the room tax revenue, so it's time again to look at our park citywide and do some major renovations and upgrades. So tonight we'll talk a little bit about that. The important to emphasize to the public, because I know each of us deal with questions from the public every day. This is the room tax. Hotels pay a property tax that goes to the general fund. Visitors pay a room tax specifically because of the special account that has to be spent for these items. So this portion of the presentation, the $27 million we're talking about in bonding, will be paid for out of the room tax. It does not go against our debt because it's a direct revenue. So it's the first master plan since 2003. We've got a number of projects, the first of which is the Hancock Adams Green. The Hancock Adams Green, as we all know, has been underway for a few years. The first piece of the Hancock Adams Green was the roadway change, the redirection of Hancock Street out here in front of the church and City Hall, which creates the setting, the space for this beautiful park. And as you know, we've received about $15 million in state and federal grants to get us where we are. So we're looking at phase 2, which is a $15.7 million request to do the next phase, which is the promenade phase. This is going to create in my opinion, a world-class park that respects our history, and it's something that I think the city is long overdue for and truly deserves. When you really think about the building we're in, the history of this building, not so much the brick and mortar or the granite portion of it, the people that came through this building made decisions for future generations. You think about those folks that are buried in the Hancock Cemetery that were part of the early creation not only of this community but this nation. Across the street is the Church of the residence, beautiful 1828 Alexander Paris architect building. Obviously, 2 presidents and their wives buried in the crypts in that church. And for years, that church at the presidents was a traffic road. Walter Hannon was made back in the 70s. Some of you maybe weren't born quite yet. Doing a little timer up here, although I feel going over to Councilor Finn. Walter Hannon actually talked about putting a tunnel in Hancock Street here, creating some kind of a park setting, because he felt at that time that we weren't treating our historic resources as we should. So this is not a brand new idea, it's a different execution of that idea, but I believe that this will bring the core of our history together. This will become a true destination, not only for visitors, but really for the families of the city to really enjoy. And Halverson out of Boston is a company, landscape design company. They earned their money because I've driven them absolutely crazy. They were a former park commissioner. And Rich Houghton, who's a Quincy resident, has been on that team from Halverson. So if you look at some of the slides here, that's an overview. You go to the next one, Mark. The bird's eye view, you see the church is on the top of that slide, and it shows you the promenade. Essentially, roughly where Hancock Street was, will be paved promenade lined with trees, statues on each end, and there'll be water features in the park. Go to the next one, Mark. So if you're looking north, that's what you're going to see. That's the end where John Hancock statue will be. You can see to the left the contemplative water element. You can see folks obviously enjoying it, but more importantly, you see the size of the trees as well. This is an expensive park because we are putting in quality product in the floor of plant material. You may remember a few years ago, the city held a national call for artists to construct the statues. We had 70 respond across the country, and 2 foreign countries responded as well. That artist was chosen, he's finished his work, the statues are done. They were built in a studio in Italy. They are now in a storage facility not far from here, waiting for their placement on the screen. So this slide is looking south. You can see the church to the left. This would be coming really from the T heading into the square. Next slide shows the other major water element feature. You will hear this water from no matter which part of the park you enter. I'm sure you're going to hear this. This is significant, and the design so very impactful, and really adds to the quality of what a world-class park should look like. So that's the Merrimont, that's the Hancock Avenue Drain portion, which is the largest portion of the 27 million. Again, it's 15.7 million. It piggybacks the investments that have already been made, a lot of underground work that has been done to date. This will bring it to the next phase. There would be then one phase left, that would be from the promenade to the T station. And we have preliminary designs on that, but we want to wait to see how the development kind of shakes out in around the T station, because we don't want to be doing things 2 or 3 times. So this will take us to phase 2. Phase 3 we'll revisit at the right time when the development of the T station starts to emerge. So next on the agenda in the park side is the Merrimont Park piece. Now Merrimont Park is, in my opinion, the gem of our park system. It goes from Hancock Street, goes down to Blacks Creek, Pine Island, and it has everything. It has wooded trails, it has salt marshes, it has everything you can imagine for formal recreational activity and certainly passive recreational activity. This was given to the city in 1885 by Charles Francis Adams II, who was the grandson of President John Quincy Adams. He was a remarkable individual. He was renowned statewide because he was very involved with the state, creating Blue Hills Reservation and what became the NBC, with parkways and boulevards. So he loved the city, and try to sum this up, he, along with some other folks at the time, Charles Porter, who became the first mayor, put together a park association. They tried to get the town at the time to vote park commissioners in to purchase these properties to create Merrimont Park. He was defeated on the ballot a couple of times. He decided to take it into his own hands. He assembled all the parcels and gifted to the city. The city accepted it in 1885. Some 72 acres, 8 acres Pine Island were added at a later date, which brings it to the 80 acres. So Charles Francis Adams was quite a guy. You think about this city without Marymount Park. That's a huge gap in recreation use. So we're grateful to him. Charles Francis Adams did take a train trip with Frederick Law Olmsted. And later, in 1937, the city engaged Herbert Calloway, who was an associate of Olmsted, to come up with a master plan. We'll just go through these slides, Mark. That was the Walter Smith shell up on Pageant that was torn down back in the early 50s, I believe. You can see the Wollaston Beach before the boulevard was truly completed. Some great old slides here that we got there. There's the plaque that dedicates where Captain Wollaston landed for the fur trading post he established here back in 1625. That's along Blacks Creek, Furnaceburg Parkway to the right. That would be the bridge over Southern Artery, now Marymount Parkway. There's the Greenberg Bridge on Quincy Shore Drive. This park is really unique. Several of these slides you see was the celebration of the 300th anniversary of the city in 1925, where they had some amazing programs up on Pageant Field, hence the name Pageant. They had pageants, they had all kinds of activity. You can see the bleachers and lighting, everything set up just for that event back in 1925. So the improvements include a number of passive improvements. I want to speak to that because you have Marymount Park on one side, Grossman Park on the Fenner Street side, Caddy Park on Quincy Shore Drive, but they're not connected. So by bringing this plan together that we've engaged with Copley and Wolf, the goal here is to connect them with a series of bridges, boardwalks. This will create about 130 acres of beautiful estuary open space area, which will allow joggers, walkers, bikers. This isn't just about the football field, the baseball field. This is about also the passive use of that beautiful facility. Again, it's really unparalleled in our city. So we have engaged Copley Wolf for about 2 years now, working on plans with them. We've engaged Ty and Braun, and we've engaged with Current. This will be a very technical program that we're going to have to get permitted, so there'll be a lot of work needed. Now, it kind of intercepts or overlaps other issues in the Black Creek area. For example, the tide gates at Greenberg Bridge, which we've been working with the EPA for over 2 years now. It's money you guys approved, or this body approved a number of years ago, and that still sits in an account because we haven't been successful in permitting today. There's another tide gate issue on the Fenner Street that feeds one of the marshes behind Dickens Street. There's the issue of dredging Blacks Creek, the basin between Marymount Parkway and Furnaceburg Parkway. So there are a number of pieces to this that will be tackled with the design and permitting going forward. This will take a little bit of time, but we believe we'll be successful in these portions of this, and so we'll be back at some point. This will pay for all of that legal work and design work, engineering work necessary to bring it to the next level. Again, Marymount Park is a unique facility. A lot of folks use that each and every year, both for formal and informal recreation. That gives you really a conceptual Hancock Street way up to the left, the beach down to the right. It will open up some view corridors for people to be able to enjoy the ocean views from different parts of the park. It really connects, as you can see, a series of, it's tough to see it, I guess, on the slide, but there are a number of connections between Furnaceburg Parkway into Pageant, and then from the boathouse area out to Pine Island, and then from Pine Island over to Grossman Park along the marsh, and then back to Caddy Park, so you can get a complete loop in and around that area, which would just be incredible. So that's the conceptual look of that piece. The next piece that's in the plan is a dog park. We've been talking about this for a few years. We have a location, and this will overlap with not even the capital improvement program. We've got 3,000 licensed dogs. I'm sure there's a few more out there that may not have the tags on them. This has been talked about for some time. A lot of communities have gone to dedicated dog park facilities, and we think it's time here in Quincy. And we have some decisions to make, but I think we found the right location. We own 20 acres of land south of the new Avalon project up on Quarry Street. It was part of the deal way back when, Mr. Tooley. And on that property is an interesting piece of property with some topography challenges. However, we all feel, include the architect, architect that this will work quite well, establishing a dog park in this vicinity. It's difficult to put a dog park in a neighborhood too close to homes, so this is an area where it has enough isolation around it that it would be well served. In doing that, we've got to bring a road into the site and some parking into the site, and there's some work to do, but we feel very good about this as the location. It will allow us to build a state-of-the-art dog park, and I'll be listening to others on that because I'm not quite as familiar with a dog park as I am with a number of athletic uses out there watching my kids all these years. So we have a dedicated team on that, and I want to thank my colleagues on this. I know Councilor Forrest was very involved in this piece, but also we have an incredibly dedicated group of volunteers to serve our shelter down on Broad Street. These folks are amazing. They raise all kinds of money and do all kinds of adoption programs and really augment the minimum that our people can do down there based on the facility itself, which is very, very challenging. The next piece is the Maritime Center, and this is obviously down in Howe's Neck. I've had the good fortune to be serving as an appointee from the governor on the Seaport Economic Council, and we've been very successful with some grants for the city. And the first grant we received was to upgrade the ramp, which was did not meet standard. That was just under $700,000, and that is in progress. Then we received another grant this past year of around $250,000, I believe, which would then help us design a new facility. In addition, the community preservation has kicked in some money as matches to those. So we're in a pretty good place in that we've got a good partnership with the state on this program. The request in here would be to acquire 3 homes and a parking lot on C Street abutting the site. And that would, we believe, provide the necessary real estate land to provide the necessary space for boats and trailers and use of the facility. We're a city of 27 miles of shoreline, and we've limited boat ramp access for our residents. And this will help go a long way in solving that. We do expect to go back to the Seaport Economic Council when we have the design finished to look for actual monies to then construct the facility. On the citywide improvements. We have a master plan for Faxon Park, and there's a little history of Faxon Park. The same meeting in 1885, Henry Hardwick Faxon donated the first piece of land that's come to known as Faxon Park, and he had 2 restrictions in the deed. One, that it would be forever known as Faxon Park. 2 is there'd be no alcohol consumed in that park. I can't speak to the second one, but the first one. Another amazing, prominent businessman that loved this community and wanted to leave something for future generations. In addition, we're looking at the reconstruction of Kincaid Park over Water Street. Amy Kincaid. Kincaid was another major prominent business person in Quincy. And that we're looking at how that can best serve the new middle school as well as the next school. So we're looking at some changes in that, and that's going to be a significant project, and there'll be a complete renovation of that facility. Permitting for the Mount Street Beach area and the boathouse. We talked a little bit about it. I remember Councilor Crowell with me down with Jay Cashman at the shipyard a couple of years ago to announce Jay Cashman's commitment to build and pay for a new boating facility for rowing, which would also serve for kayaking and canoeing as well. Mr. Cashman is still committed to that. There's some challenges in the permit because this is a designated port area, even though this has been a recreational use for 150 years. So we're working through that process. And the money in here is for the permitting and design work, and Mr. Cashman is going to pay for the actual structure and the piers associated with it. Lights at Quarry Hills, the Little League facility up there. Quincy Youth Baseball has raised some money and got some in-kind donations to put some lights on a couple of those fields up there, and this will kind of match that grant and get that finished up for the playing season hopefully this year. The completion of the Ray Dunn baseball field and the Florida clubhouse field improvements, and I know again the council's been working on that. Replacement of turf at Veterans Stadium. The last big bomb we did the new turf facility at Veterans Stadium. It was guessed that lasts around 10 years. Well, it's It's around 10 years. The beauty is we don't have to rebuild the whole stadium, we just take up the carpet and put a new carpet down. It has served the city very, very well. There'll be other improvements all across the city, just about every park. The last time we did improvements, we looked at tennis courts, basketball courts, street hockey courts, reconstructed a number of them. And others we repainted. Well, those are the ones that were minimally done and now need to be completely renovated. So in the cycle of park work, this is going to go a long way in bringing our facilities again. Actually, keeping them to the bar that we've set. I think we hear from people visiting our city all the time on the sidelines what great facilities we have. So this will continue to keep that reputation. Community preservation, last few years, they've been committing about $500,000 a year to the parks, various programs. And the issue that comes up frequently before them is the tot lot reconstruction. We did about 24 tot lots about 20 years ago. Those now, time is up for those to be replaced. What I'm going to be asking of the Community Preservation Committee is to do a similar program to this, and that we bond the total amount, which would be between $5 and $6 million, and then we take that $500,000 that's already committed each year to park use, put that revenue towards that bond. What that allows us to do now is, rather than the various groups that come before the CIP, before this body, before our office, competing for those dollars, we now can upgrade all of them at the same time in a very good way. We're including in that, in the wear zones, under the swings and all, we have the wood chips, we put the rubberized material in, which would help easier maintenance long-term and safer for the kids using it. So that has not come to a final decision. It's a recommendation at this point. I've spoken to the chairman of the Community Preservation Committee, and we'll talk to the group directly on that as we go forward. So we go over to the now the capital plan, which deals with a lot of issues. As I said in the first slide, we have an awful lot of public buildings across the city. And you think about that, about 20 school buildings, we've got 8 firehouses, the police complex, DPW complex, which is several buildings, park and rec complexes, several buildings, libraries. We have a lot of city buildings. And again, we are the custodians of those assets. You can't continue to let those go over time, as we know with our homes, what happens when you do that. So I view that as a major responsibility that we do have. And how do we lead those assets to the next body here, to the future generation? I think you pay now, you pay later, and this is a case of us dealing with those needs we have in each and every one of these buildings. What makes this job a little bit easier is we have a very professional public buildings department, which has not been around that many years. As you may recall, a few years ago, we combined the maintenance from the city side, school side, and we've been able to build a department with incredible craftsmen, you name it, electricians, plumbers, painters, carpenters. They do an incredible job keeping up these capital assets. However, there are many things that need more than just the regular maintenance. So we're looking at a number of programs in our buildings, technology, infrastructure, and equipment. Public building side, like, central maintenance has been huge. And I remember part of my argument with the school committee at the time was anytime you have maintenance in the same budget against classroom expenses, you're never going to be able to build that maintenance because you're competing with the same dollars. By creating a separate department now, we're able to grow that department through your cooperation, your help and support to a place where we've got in-house talent now that can do so much, not only on the actual work, but we've got some incredible folks that have great background that help us plan for going forward. So, as I mentioned, firehouses, libraries. We're looking at $9 million in public building improvements. See some of these slides. There's some work to be done on here, there's no question about it. The first one specifically, I guess I'd like to talk about, as far as a major way, is a new animal shelter. The animal shelter, I think it was built under Frank McCauley in the 80s. It's on Broad Street. It's not in a great location in that you're right next to Public Works, and the trucks and the salters and sanders are going by all the time. So there's no real true outdoor space for the animals to enjoy. The facility itself is not adequate, and in not in great shape at all. Again, I thank the volunteers at the shelter who perform miracles down there every day. So we're looking at a new facility up on Quarry Street at the same location where I discussed previously about the new park. There's plenty of real estate out there, and the idea is to build a state-of-the-art new shelter. And with that shelter, put our K-9 unit from the police department there. I believe we have 9 dogs at this point, and they do an awful lot of good work, as we know, across the city, our public safety unit. Put our animal control office there as well, and then our shelter volunteers will also have a home they can be proud of. This is a little over $7 million program. However, that doesn't mean it'll cost us $7 million. We'll be seeking outside grants from other foundations and other resources, and I expect that number to come down. But much like when we go on school building authority, we look for the total dollar amount what the cost would be, and then we don't have to go to that level. So that's the plan for the animal shelter. Again, I think it's a great location, centrally located. Public safety headquarters. I know I floated this discussion a couple of years ago. Anyone that's been in the police station knows that there's some real challenges with that building. I know hindsight is it's easy to look back and say we could have, should have. There's a case of the new building probably should have been built down. It has been problematic from day one with leaks, with HVAC issues, etc. So it's time to look at that whole parcel, and I've engaged discussions with folks internally in the various departments about a potential new public safety headquarters, meaning that we would then also look at the central firehouse in Quincy Avenue and build a new firehouse at this same location and put together a police and main firehouse along with the police department. And I think there's some great efficiencies there with the 911 system. It's a great location as far as getting out of that site, getting around the city. In addition, we'll be looking at perhaps going another story or two and taking care of some other needs we have. For example, our veteran services is in an old bungalow on High School Avenue. It's kind of separated, isolated from the general public, and makes it a little more challenging. Our senior center is really thriving, and the health department down there, I'd like to take out, put them in this facility so that the senior center can be complete use of that building. There's been tremendous programming happening there. There's more than 4,000 members at the Kennedy Center, and they would love to have that additional space to continue to add programming. So I think that works very well. If you've been in 55 C Street, the Inspection Services Department is not in great space and on top of each other, and I would look to put the Inspection Services building and down the road, perhaps the Public Buildings Department as well. Additionally, we could put some state-of-the-art storage facility for our records. That's been a challenge, and the clerk and the former clerk has been on that issue for a number of years. We have some storage, we pay rent, some storage facilities today, which doesn't make sense, so I think we should pursue that as well. So this is early. This is a request to do some early design and engineering, and then bring it back to this body after some work is done so that this body can make some decisions based on some of the homework and due diligence that will happen with this piece. As part of the program, we are asking for the purchase of the Bryan Post on Broad Street. The idea would be right now with the Bryan Post, with our public buildings tradesmen, we have to get them out of the old Sterling basement, where they've been for a number of years after the new high school was built. They used to be the Ovotech. So the carpenter shops, plumbing shops, and all those areas we need to find a home for. We think that on an interim basis they could slide into the Bryan Post. I was actually married there a long time. It was open as a facility for a long time. It's a great location. We feel we get C Street over to Broad Street, look at all of the issues related to that municipal complex, including public works and the layout. At some point, Mr. Quirk, Dan Quirk, has been very generous with our fire department. For those of you that don't know, he allows us to use a major facility down there for the mechanics and storage. As the value of the yard goes up and we see development down the road, I'm sure that we're not going to be able to stay there forever. So we'll be looking at that issue as well, whether we can work that into this master plan of this municipal complex. So Next, I'd like to touch on the schools. As you know, we've made great progress on the schools to date. And I know that this body has been an integral part of that. We voted for the Quincy High program, we voted for the Central Middle School program this past fall, we voted for the authorization to move forward for the old Sterling Middle School in Southwest Quincy, which is going to be replaced. And we've been very successful. I thank our legislators for funding this program. I thank President Goldberg, Jack McCarthy, the SBA for the work and the partnership they've had in getting these things done. So, but we can't rest on our laurels. And we've got a number of municipal buildings, and I purposely asked a number of folks, school committees, school administrators, what do you think the next worst plan is as far as schools go? And it was unanimous that the Squantum School has a lot of issues and a lot of challenges. And it was added on a couple of occasions. It's not really quality, those additions. So it's time, and I know we're going to be renewing that interest as far as getting back in the queue with the school building authority. We've been in the queue for a couple of years now. I think until Sterling gets going, they'll probably not grant us another grant until that thing gets rolling. So we're looking at that. And I'm sure we'll be working with the council from West 6 on that plan. Council. And then New West Quincy Elementary School site. And I talked about this a little bit publicly not long ago. As folks know, the St. Mary's School closed a number of years back. The convent was sold off and condominiums have been built there. That leaves the school, which has been on the market for lease or sell. We've been negotiating with the Archdiocese of Boston and the Quincy Catholic Collaborative. And I feel strongly we should acquire this property and then begin the planning for a new school on that site. It's not often that real estate is available for this type of use when you're in a built-out urban area. This was a school site, so the neighborhood was used to a school, although I'm sure council, some of the neighbors won't remember it when we move forward in community meetings. But having said that, put the kids from West Quincy, the other side of the expressway, the Lauderdale and Montclair School and Montclair Elementary School. We were a city of neighborhood schools, and when Prop 2.5 came through, a lot of closes had to be made. Again, I'm not second guessing. I think the West Quincy area of the city was gypped. I think that the travel distance for them far exceeds any other part of our city. So my recommendation, and I know there's a lot of votes that have to happen, including this body first and the land. My colleagues in the school committee will take a look at this and have a vote on it. In my discussions with the superintendent, a new small elementary school would serve that neighborhood very well. It would also ease up space at Montclair, Wallaston, and probably Lincoln Hancock to some degree. As we know, the old school houses that were built way back when were built pretty straightforward: classrooms, restrooms, nurse's office, principal's office. The education space today requirements are far exceed that. You have specialists coming in, you need space on one-to-one. So this would go a long way, not only in solving it for West Quincy, but really freeing up space in some of those other school buildings so they can better educate our kids. So that's a separate, that's part of the CIP, but that'll be a separate issue. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about going forward. Did a lot of technology in this program. Last year, as you know, we did a lot of technology upgrades in the school system. And this year, we're looking for some various items, radios of police and fire departments, first responders. We need to keep up with the technology and the radios for them, not only for safety for, for the public, but for them as they serve the front lines. New software for managing our tree inventory, and new software to manage our public buildings and public infrastructure. So if we put a nice program together, it'll be far easier going forward, managing this, coming up with a good system, and it'll pay dividends long term, in my belief. When we go to infrastructure, or efficient infrastructure, one of the major items in here is we did an RFP not long ago, and we had 14 to 15 companies respond. One has been chosen and recommended to me by the committee. And the RFP talked a lot about every aspect of the city. It's been a long, long time since the city has looked at a major traffic study. I think Franklin gave the mayor the last time it was done. And we're going to be looking at everything: intersection, signalization, pedestrian safety, bike lanes, a master plan, signage, residential parking permits enablers. All of that is in the mix. There'll be a series of public meetings, work with each of the ward councils and the councils at large on priorities in their areas and things that we can fix. This is a program that could take up to 2 years. That doesn't mean we can't cherry pick some things right out of it early on and begin implementing some of those items. It doesn't mean we're going to slow down in other areas. For example, as you all know, we've done some major intersection work. The next one that's going to be done on C Street, we're working with MassDOT on C Street between Quincy Shore Drive down to Palmer Street. So again, our state legislators provided some funding for that. We're grateful for that. So again, we'll be going neighborhood by neighborhood and trying to fix a lot of long-term challenges and problems that we do have. Give us a roadmap, a plan going forward, if you will, that we can chip away at that as money is available. And of course, design and permitting for continuing flood relief projects. As some of you may remember, I know some of you were here, the city was inundated in the spring of 2010 with the March floods. It was very, very challenging for a lot of folks. We had neighborhoods, that went underwater. We were taking people out of their homes and boats. That comes up every so often. It's easy to forget about it for a while, but at the time we committed as a city to make a difference and make some changes so these people wouldn't have to put up with that every time there was a major rainstorm at work worrying about their basements flooding at home. They pay taxes like everybody else, and they deserve the attention. So in this, we're looking at some more design and permitting work to continue some of those efforts. Arlington Street Pump Station has been identified as a need that would serve the Wallace, Montclair area, the Kings area there. You gonna open up those cookies and share those, or are those gonna sit on? Thank you, Council. Furnace Brook, we continue to make improvements along Furnace Brook, West Quincy, right down to Black Creek. A reminder that Black Creek is an area that's not only beautiful as an estuary, but it serves as a function as flood control. So when those gates drop at low tide, that allows the basin to fill up. This is upstream Furnace Brook. We've had some success. The council knows certainly Congressman Lynch is very helpful in getting a $5 million grant for pump station at Miller and Cross Streets. This is in that same area. We've got to make some decisions on Albert Road. We weren't successful on a new pump station through FEMA for that. So we're going to support community meetings and decide how to go forward. Whether we do that or we try to purchase some homes and create a meadow where it could overflow. So we'll continue to work that with our engineers. Seawalls, you voted recently on the match to the state grant that we're receiving to come up with a plan to upgrade the seawalls along, essentially on the back of the houses along C Street, very much out of Shore and Pilot House. Water infrastructure and sewer infrastructure comes out of a little different category because we have a water and sewer enterprise fund. Therefore, the monies for that are generated through those funds. And as you know, we have programs, matching programs that we take advantage of the WRA, low interest loans, in some cases no interest loans. We'll continue to take advantage of and continue to do water pipe replacements and sewer issues going forward. Roads, you appropriated last year some money that you're going to be seeing happening this year. You saw Bergen Parkway, a section that get done, some of that money. The section of Southern Artery between Quincy Avenue and down around 1000 Southern Artery. Those were both in very, very poor condition. And there's about another dozen streets. I know we're working with some of the councils here. Those are out to bid as we speak, and this summer we'll see construction on those. It appears the state's going to come up with about $200 million in Chapter 90 money, which I think is about $1.5 million for us in the upcoming fiscal year. So that'll be plugged in, augment the money that's in there from last year. This is an area with a lot more work to do. There's no question about it. You get calls, you are around the city. We need some more attention to the roads, there's no question about it. And as I indicated before, I think the last couple of budgets, as we free up from that 2 year ago storm event we're still paying for, that will then create some capacity and room more roads. My goal is to have in the city budget or an item in the public works to actually do roads over each and every year, much like we do sidewalks. So next year we'll be back probably more on the next phase and how we're going to tackle the road issue. Finances, just a reminder on the work we've been doing together. And when I say that, I mean together. When you think about all the projects we've done, we've been great cooperation from our federal officials, especially Congressman Lynch. We've had tremendous support from the state. The Governor Baker and his team have been terrific. Our legislators have just been phenomenal in every step of the way. Obviously working with this body, the school committee, on the key votes, moving projects forward, is just short of awesome. I mean, really, that's the way it's supposed to be. Residents expect things to get done. It's our job to get it done, and I think we're doing it pretty well. If you see here, we received more than $110 million in reimbursements from the state to date. That does not include the $29 million commitment the state has made for the Sterling Middle School, which is big. $46 million already for state and federal grants in the downtown. You've seen all the work we've done. People forget quickly, but we moved the town of Brooklyn, we built the Hannah Parkway. We've rerouted Hancock Street, and now we're about to do the next phase of Adams Street. We have in place a preliminary approval for $40 million in additional grants through the IQ program. That is tied to commercial development. And as you know, Mr. Rockdale and Foxrock is committed to some major commercial development on the Parkway side, which will kick this program in nicely. It's essentially the new taxes generated out of it replenish the fund as people draw off the project. So that's going to be very helpful. And our store rehab fund has increased significantly since 2010, and that is again paid for as the developers community contribute to that fund, which then allows us to then do improvements to the city. And lastly on that, as we talked about the hotel, motel tax capacity increases, both because the bond is diminished and also rates go up every year. So as is a percentage of the room tax, it's not a number, therefore, as the room rates go up, so does the percentage the city retains. So we're in a healthy place with those. Then the financing capacity, well within the policy limits for borrowing. We have the best bond rating the city has ever had. We still have historically low interest rates. Another reason to move forward in some of these projects. Money is cheap to borrow. Let's get these things done. We save millions in the long term when we do that. And we have a lower debt burden than most cities and towns across the state, so we can't afford this. And I would make that argument that, as I made 2 years ago when I was up for election, and there was questions a number of times about the mayor's spending. And I said it then, I'll say it now, we're investing. All these dollars we're talking about are investments in our city's future, in our buildings, in our parks, and in our infrastructure. And whether you live here, continue to live here, or you think about additional folks coming to live here, we need to do these things to provide the best services, the best opportunities, and really maintain and go forward to the next generation, hand them over a city that we can all be proud of. It always comes down to dollars and cents. I'm certainly aware of that. And I look back at just that debate that went on in 1885 with Charles Francis Adams, and the city did not want to spend $16,000. Imagine that, he paid $16,000 for all those parcels to create Margaret Park. Those parcels today are worth, gosh, I don't know, tens and tens of millions of dollars. That was an investment that was made at the time. We built on that investment in that park. I'm incredibly proud of our schools. It's not just about the buildings. Obviously, it's what goes on in the classroom, between the teacher and the child. But it's our job to provide the best facilities. Now, in the early part of the last century, the folks that sat in those seats, the folks that sat in the mayor's office seat, made those commitments big time. We built schools all across the city, granite, brick, solid buildings that still enjoying today, because they made the investment at the time in the city's future, the kids' future. So we got to continue to do that as a city. Again, it happens in the classroom, but we need to provide the best, safest learning environments for these kids we possibly can. We owe it to our firemen. They're out there putting it on the line every day. Some of these firehouses were built for horse and buggy and not where they should be. Structurally, there's challenges. We've had to shore up a lot of the floors because the apparatus is so much heavier today dealing with this. We owe our first responders to the police department to provide them the best possible facility. It's not only for them, but it's also for the public that comes in and gets served from that building. So I know that all of these items are going to go to committee. It's going to be some spirited discussion, I'm sure, some great dialogue. Our staff, department heads, manager will be available to answer all those questions, and I'll be available at any time as well to make some of those, answer some of those questions if need be. This is a significant appropriation. There's no question about it. $27 million in the parks, paid for by the room tax. If I've said that enough to make sure that that's clear. That's not coming out of the property tax, that's the room tax. And then the general fund will pay for what we're talking about here tonight, if all approved. Now, we've talked last year, we'll talk again this year, and I know my finance team will get into it. We have plenty of capacity to do this. And I would again remind you the importance of getting some of this stuff done while we still have historically low interest rates. Can't emphasize that enough. That's millions of dollars in difference over time. You talk about wanting something 23 years. Let's see, what else do we have? I guess that's about it. I do want to wrap up with a comment to say again, thank you. Thank you to this body. You see the list of things we've accomplished together. Thank you to the school committee for their commitment. Thank you to our legislative delegation for their commitment. We have a number of folks that serve on boards and commissions that are part of all of this, that work hard without compensation. We thank them. My department heads, managers, employees, my staff. We're all in this together, and when we work together, look what we've really accomplished over the last few years. I know the list is there, but third school's on the way. There seems to be some controversy at the time about the track. That controversy's gone. The track's getting well used every day to drive by there. We rebuilt parks all across the city. The senior center, we had one of the largest senior populations in the state. We had no senior center. Think about that. It's remarkable the thing to send the program down. We're looking to add to that with some of the Florida, future use of Florida, perhaps in the satellite senior center. Old City Hall, the place we're in today. This wasn't without controversy making a commitment on this. It was a lot of money. And those folks that questioned this project. After the project was done, I haven't heard anybody question this project. Everybody has enjoyed it and think we did the right thing. It's also, it's obviously a beautiful space for you folks to meet in. But this place was in bad shape. And once we started to do the study of the facility, we realized we couldn't leave it any further. So again, this is the gift to the next generation. So folks that we deliberate here, folks that we out here in the audience and then coming to this microphone to weigh in on projects. The Coddington building, one of those great schools I mentioned, built back in 1928 as an elementary school. Beautiful, granite brick. You couldn't build that today. Renovation with that project. Obviously, the schools are in there, school administration, planning, IT departments. We were once paying rent for those departments. It's now all washed in the budget. And we saved a beautiful historic and architectural gem. New seawalls, flood relief, water mains, as I mentioned, rebuilt intersections, all kinds of infrastructure challenges. So when we work together, great things happen. I appreciate the time tonight. I'd be happy to take any questions if anybody has any, but I know this is coming for the first time. There are appropriation orders that follow this in sequence, and we look forward to debate, dialogue, and discussion as we move forward. Now, next time you appear before you, it'll be before the annual appropriation to fund our city budget. My hair is going to be a little shorter next time I come in, so don't laugh. I'm ashamed next time. But we are cognizant, as we're building that budget, we're working on that now, of all of this. We're doing all of this, what it means in the budget, debt service, as well as the operating budget. So again, I thank you for your attention. I thank you for your service. And I look forward to working with you in the months ahead to accomplish great things for this great city of Presidents. Thank you, Madam President.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and certainly your presentation to us always is just such a grand vision for our city. As you said, there'll be a lot of debate back and forth about different things, but your love of this city is infectious through your commitment to it as you speak, and your love and commitment and vision for the city is strong. So despite whatever goes on in the well here, that is clear, and we thank you, sir, for that. So thank you very much.